What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the SatoSHE Show with me, Molly, and my co-hosts Lena and Mia. Before we begin, a quick shout out to our sponsors, SatoSHE Design and Coin Corner. Thanks for your support, guys. Keep that bit short and sweet. And yeah, on with the show. Hi, girls. How are we?
Very fine, thank you.
We're doing great. Good. Yay, we're back. What is new? What's been going on?
Well, just came back from the beach, so I'm very happy and relaxed. Life was almost as normal, but it won't be in some days here in Italy, so I'm enjoying every single moment right now.
Oh, that's nice. Where did you go? To the beach?
Yeah, I went to Liguria, which is a very nice area of Italy. And yes, the funny thing is you get the sea and you get a lot of carbs. So it was very, very difficult to resist. But I did my best.
Nice. Lena, how are you? Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm doing great. I've been doing lots of things. Going to the cinema, going to restaurants,
Nice.
Traveling the world, living life. Of course not, I've been sitting at home.
Oh. When you said traveling the world, I realized that was... As soon as you said traveling the world, I was like, okay, that doesn't sound right. You had me at cinema and going out for restaurants, but no, that's not the case. It's mad because where I live here in the Isle of Man, like all that stuff is open to us, to like the cinema and the restaurant. So I forget that other people around the world don't have, like that's not
freedom?
available. Yeah, pretty much. Don't have freedom.
I have you girls, that's all I need.
Yeah.
Exactly. You have us. Good.
How have you been?
Good. So what have I been up to? Oh yeah, on the subject of freedom, my mum actually came over this weekend just gone. So she lives in like mainland UK, and she came over. It's the first time I've seen her in about 2 years because of lockdowns and everything.
Whoa.
Yeah. So she came to visit, and it was just really nice. She just came for the weekend, and we just went out for, and I don't want to rub this in your faces, we went out for nice food and nice little walks, and it was just really good to see her. So I've come back this week feeling very upbeat and positive, because it's just nice, isn't it? Like 2 years is a long time.
It is. I saw the picture of you and your son on Twitter, and your mother. You were amazing. And
But my mum is actually a Bitcoiner as well.
That's
so,
great.
Yeah, I think,
oh my God.
yeah.
Good work.
Thank you. She's
I
actually
suppose it's because of you.
yeah, it's actually very interesting. So my mum has actually been in Bitcoin. When did she invested a long time ago when I first joined Coin Corner, actually.
Whoa.
So yeah, she's nearly much an OG as we are. But
Okay, now we understand where you got your good Bitcoin genes.
Exactly. And she is Bitcoin only as well, so that's really great.
This is the way.
So yeah, no, the tweet you're referring to is me, my mum, and my son, and I think I captioned it like 3 generations of Bitcoiners, because we are. That's what we are.
That's so cool.
It's the dream.
Yeah, it is.
So it was really nice. And I think like one of the sort of things I wanted to talk to you girls about today is that time away from the Bitcoin chaos that is. So this is actually what I was thinking about over the weekend when I was spending time with my mum, is that with Bitcoin being 365, 24/7, full on news every day, developments every day, it can be a lot. And I think whether you're working in Bitcoin or whether you are just sort of like involved from an investment perspective, regardless, it can be very consuming. And it's not often that I actually take the time away from my phone, away from Twitter, away from what's going on, and have that breather, which is what I did this weekend. And it was weird, but it felt good. And I don't know, like, I'm curious, like, Mira, I know that you obviously were away down the beach.
Yeah, I clearly remember some years ago I tweeted something like, an unpopular opinion about. I'm looking forward to the day I won't think about Bitcoin. Of course, I love Bitcoin, but what I intended was something like Bitcoin will be something normal and it will work. And we are not thinking about the internet all day long. We are just using internet. All the people are using internet, and this is my idea for the future. But at the moment, of course, we cannot rest too much, so I had to find my balance. It took me some years because I had problems sleeping, for example, because I was just like on all the time. I wanted to be I wanted to know all the news, what was going on, what I was missing. The FOMO was real. So I had to manage this and find a way, especially since I got my daughter. And at the moment, I feel like I'm balanced because every day there are moments without phone, without Bitcoin. And it's okay because of course, Bitcoin doesn't need me, and that's great. And I don't need to be updated all the time. And so I managed to have many hours without being updated, and sometimes even days, just like at the beach, just enjoying the beach, because in the end, we are doing this because we want freedom. We want to that's the goal. We don't have to forget what's our goal in life to enjoy our life. I know it's very early and we feel the responsibility for our job. So for Bitcoin itself to just, helping Bitcoin in any possible ways. But we have to slow down. Bitcoin is amazing because it's going, it's just working without ourselves, and that's great. That's the amazing thing about Bitcoin. Not easy to realize that, but it's always on Bitcoin. But we have not be on all the time.
Yeah, I don't feel like I'm at that stage just yet. Lena, I don't know. How do you feel about it?
Well, first of all, I think if you're stressed by the price, you have too much exposure in relation to your conviction. So if the market stresses you, you have too much money in Bitcoin. You can have all your money in Bitcoin and not be stressed, but you need a lot of conviction for that. So if you're stressed, you should either learn more about Bitcoin or, reduce your exposure. But generally, it's really hard to break away from Bitcoin, just like, for me at least, it's really hard to break away from the internet, just because, and I'm pretty sure you can relate, our work just centers around the internet. We're always online, and the same way, we're always available. It's more of an overall issue, and it's more like work-related than Bitcoin-related, but because I work in Bitcoin, that's just how it is for me. And I've noticed this too. Like when I'm eating and I don't have my phone on silent, and I get a message, I feel a little bit of stress. Like, oh man, somebody wants something from me, and I don't like it. So I set my phone on silent, but it still vibrates, so it's not doing anything. So that's not good advice. Generally, in general, I have no good advice for this. I'm not good at breaking away from Bitcoin.
Well, the worst thing is I'm such a hypocrite. So I get major FOMO, and I love I don't know if you guys have got the same, but on my phone, you can see how much screen time that you have spent on your phone. And I think whether it was last week or maybe the week before, Twitter was like my top used app. It was ridiculous. It was something like 10 hours in a week. Which for me is very high. And yeah, like you say, I find working in the industry, even when the price is going sideways, it may not be, it may be different for you, Lena, but the price isn't the problem, I don't think. I think it is the amount of stuff that is happening all the time, whether it, like, if it's not the price, it's new developments, technological advancements or whatever that's then getting picked up. It's the chaos that's Twitter. It's it's just so many things that feed in. And I don't know, for me, I have 1 hour a day after I'm done at work, and I go home and I have my dinner, and I usually go out and do like some form of exercise, whether it's a walk or a workout. And in that time, I try not to look at my phone. I don't respond to messages. I don't look at emails, nothing. And I mean, I know it's only an hour out of my day, and it seems very small compared to the rest of it, but for me, that really helps. Because yeah, even like now, my sleep's interrupted. Like I'll wake up in the middle of the night just for whatever reason, and it sounds awful, but the first thing I will do is check my phone and see what's gone on. Because I was, Lena, you're over in Asia, Mia, you're here in Europe with me, but then you have America, and Bitcoin is always doing something somewhere. So it doesn't matter when you sleep, Bitcoin's not sleeping.
That's true. Also, there's a lot of stuff happening in North America with Bitcoin right now. So that means when my day ends, they wake up. So my time, like my sleeping schedule has shifted to actually kind of like your time zone.
Yeah.
So that I can keep up with everything.
If I may add something, I shifted the perspective. It's just like something, I don't know, most of the news, most of the stuff are just useless in the end. So the most important things are going to emerge anyway. So I just wait, and I've learned just to wait some days, because there is a lot of noise too into the Bitcoin space too. So for the signal to emerge, we have to wait. I'm not telling you that I'm such a yogi person, because I get FOMO all the time. But in the end, this perspective really helped me. I really recommend everyone to think about that. It's seriously helping.
I really like your approach.
Yeah. And maybe you also just gotta consciously take some time off. Allocating time just away, and that's actually not just for, if you work in Bitcoin, that's with any job, I feel, is especially if you work freelance, is a great thing to do. I recently bought a PlayStation. I got a PS5.
Oh my gosh, yay.
I'm so proud of that.
Absolutely.
I just had to bring it up.
Well, in the end, you realize that there are state of mind. I think it's called the wandering mind. It is a mode where you play, where you are just walking and your mind is empty, and you feel you are not being productive, but actually you are not being busy in that moment. And actually in the long term, your productivity is going to increase in the right way, because you are more satisfied, your mind is emptier, but in a good way, because if you have to focus on the stuff that really matter, you want to have a very responsive mind. So I'm totally in for the playing video games. It's the way to deal with everything, and if it's not, you are going to have a great time. So it's a win.
Yeah, I think you have to find your little breakout thing, don't you? Whether it's PlayStation, whether it's exercise, whether it's like it could be anything, just to take that time away from, in our case, Bitcoin, and then focus on something different, because the break really does, like you say, it really does benefit you in the long run. It makes you more productive if you have that little break.
Yeah.
I think patience in the case of Bitcoin is important, because we see a lot of nonsense come out every day, and a lot of what we do, and we talked about this in our last episode, is we defend, we defend Bitcoin, not that it needs it, right? But we dispel FUD and we debunk nonsense. And I personally tend to find that very stressful when I see the same Bitcoin is so bad for the environment argument for the 200th time. And I feel like, why didn't you just, put in the work and do the research before saying or writing this thing? So I tend to find that very stressful, and I think what we have to do is just also sometimes take a step back and see the bigger picture and understand that these narratives are short-lived, and a few years from now we're going to look back and we're going to think, man, so glad this is over. Hopefully it doesn't come back, although I think it will.
Yeah, it will come back in other forms probably, but yeah.
Yeah, like that senator that said Bitcoin miners are moving away from China because China wants to plant them in other countries so that it can then destroy their financial systems from the inside out.
So,
I mean,
True story.
that's a bold statement, isn't it, as well? Like, what sort of clickbait headline is that? It's mad.
You can make up a lot of headlines from
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Well, this kind of leads nicely on to our next subject, actually. Lena, do you want to talk about this? Because this was the article that you kind of sent round to us to discuss.
Yeah. Yeah. I got really angry at that, so I wanted you to get angry too.
thank you.
Yeah. No, I saw it on Twitter. Somebody posted the screenshot from a Forbes article. Forbes Women, actually. To invest in carbon neutral Bitcoin mining is to invest in women. So I wanted us to take a look at the article.
Well, my
Because,
first thought... Oh, sorry.
Yes. What's your first thought? I want to know.
Yeah, my first thought was like, this was generated by a bot because it's too stupid for being generated by a human being, just like that. And I'm going to ignore it. But thanks to you, I read it today. And after the first sentence, I just wanted to just throw away my computer from the window. But that's okay because it doesn't make any sense at all. I just came to the half of the article, but I was happy about that. But it was impossible to continue, actually.
You're welcome. More stress for you today. Well, I wanted to look at it because the headline sounds really stupid, and I wanted to understand if the article is also stupid or if it's just a stupid clickbait headline.
Well, it was stupid.
And the article is maybe not that bad. Don't spoil the surprise, Mir. So I wanted us to review the article and, maybe see what we think about it. And we can start with the first sentence of it, which is, in 2016, Bitcoin was irrefutably a man's domain.
Okay.
Irrefutably.
I can add the second sentence. At the time, only 1.76% of the Bitcoin community consisted of women, while male counterparts made up 98.24%.
First thing, irrefutably. So you got the number from CoinDance, and CoinDance got the number from Google Analytics. So it's just a fairly estimation that we don't know about because essentially there are plenty of pseudonymous accounts and people that don't want to disclose their gender or whatever. Even if the data are right, I mean, Bitcoin doesn't care, but that's not a good motivation. But also I find very, very, very stupid to start with that because, I mean, I clearly remember 2016, probably I was the only woman during the meetup. And it's kind of possible that those are there are good data, but we don't know. It's not irrefutably. So starting with that, it's just bullshit.
I feel like it's setting up a narrative. So what I always wonder with these things is, how do you know, right? So where'd you get that data? As you say, maybe they get it from a Google Analytics estimate, or they get it from surveys or something. But then, what's the sample size? Is it representative? And also, how do you check the answers? Can you even? Because somebody was going to ask me, do you own Bitcoin?
Yeah.
I'm going to say no.
Absolutely.
Which is the truth.
I lost the in a boating accident.
Yeah.
Darn boats.
No, I think you're right. I think like what you say about sample size. I mean, I don't know if you girls have ever seen like TV adverts. I'm thinking of the ones for mainly the sort of makeup thing, but it's like 80% of what do you call it? Like participants agreed that this, and this, and then it says in tiny, tiny little writing at the bottom that they asked maybe like 12 people. So it's like it's not an accurate. It's a. I'm trying to think of what the right word to say. It's a.
It's not representative.
Exactly, that's the word I'm looking for.
Also, if you think about it, what does community means? I mean, community is just an intersection of businesses, users. So our community is such a broad term for the sample. Doesn't mean anything in the end. Yeah.
If you ask the plebes, they're gonna tell you there's no Bitcoin community.
Yeah, absolutely. But for example.
Well, okay, let's go on. So now we're getting to the core
This is
hypothesis of the article. That's why we're here, Mir. As more women enter the crypto space, the need for environmentally conscious Bitcoin mining practices is growing. Now, here's why.
Okay, yeah, because my question is going to be why.
Exactly. So here's why. Bitcoin production is currently estimated to generate between 22 and 22.9 million metric tons of carbon dioxide emissions a year. That's about the same as country ABC. Which, again, like, where'd you get the data?
Exactly.
We don't know that for sure.
They are
So I looked
comparing.
it up.
They are comparing the Coindense data with other data and saying that it's about 40% of women are now participating. But actually, if they compare it with Coindense, today it's 14%. So they are not even able to compare the correct data with themselves. And so basically, I stopped to go on with the article.
Yeah, well, honestly, any article that says Bitcoin has this and this much CO2 that it blows into the air, how did you find out? Because you just don't know. There's no, there is a, what do they call themselves? Task force? I forgot. Council. There is a council now, but we're not at the point where they're like auditing anything, and even then they would just be reporting from a small number of miners, right? So where did she get that data? So I checked out the hyperlink. She linked to a Reuters article from May 13th that estimated that Bitcoin has that 22 million metric tons of carbon dioxide a year, which was before the China ban. So not only is it a questionably vague estimate, it's also outdated.
Yeah, it's outdated. And also, I mean, I don't think, Bitcoin mining is great because it's based on incentives, So miners have all the incentives to maximize what they are doing. If renewable types of energy is better for them, they are going to do that. And they are already doing that since the China ban, for example. So saying that all the women are going to benefit from something that I don't know if it's so helpful and we want them, that I don't know, it's such a strong statement, and in the end it's not even updated. There are plenty of problems.
Well, the key, like the foundation that I want to lay here is, okay, the data is not, like, she didn't do very thorough research here, in my opinion. Now, where the women come in, I can say a little less about that. So here's where she brings in the women. So Bitcoin, let's say it's true, 22 million megatons of CO2 a year. And then she writes, it's no secret that climate change impacts women more, blah, blah. It's no secret that climate change impacts women more than men, which is quite the statement.
Well, here's the thing. If it's no secret, like, I didn't know that. So it was a secret to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I looked it up.
Still a secret to me, actually.
Yeah, I looked it up because I didn't want to say something stupid that get me canceled, right? And I found out there's actually a lot of research into the topic.
Wow.
It has its own Wikipedia article, Climate Change and Gender, or Gender and Climate Change. So apparently, in certain areas of the world, women are sort of the caretaker of the house and the family, so they stay at home and they're in charge of going out to look for food and making sure there's fire in the house, while the men go to the cities and do the work and bring home the money. Now, where climate change comes in is it destroys the environment in which these women live, and the women then have to move somewhere else, if I understood that correctly, which means they get displaced. And during this process of getting displaced and having to find a new place to live, they are more vulnerable to, first of all, that sucks, and then also they're more vulnerable to any dangers or risks involved with that process, which is terrible. And I don't know enough about it to, say anything about that. It sounds really bad. So yeah, so there's that. The question now is it a bit far-fetched to connect Bitcoin mining to that? Is a question.
Yep.
I mean, my personal opinion is it's just another thing that Bitcoin can be blamed for. I don't know why this whole art, like, I appreciate that, it talks about it impacting women more than men, but I really don't think this article needs to, the headline for this does not need to be around women. Like, the focus does not need to be on women. Yes, Bitcoin, the mining side needs to sort of look at more renewable energy resources, but I feel like you're saying it's kind of, this feels like very clutching at straws, is my impression.
Well, if you don't even have data to back up the CO2 emissions, right? All you have is vague estimates. And even with those estimates, it is still far less concerning to the world's environment than, let's say, the banking system or gold mining or, other sources of CO2 emissions.
Yeah, sadly.
Yeah.
Why would you not take those?
No, well, here's the thing. So a couple of guys who I work with actually looked into the sort of carbon dioxide and, carbon emissions of Bitcoin and compared it to other things. And like, we're saying, it's all estimates. But Bitcoin has this bad reputation, I think, for destroying the earth and, all these carbon emissions that it gives off. But they compared it to things like, I can't remember, I'm paraphrasing, I can't remember the exact numbers, but it was things like drinking a glass of orange juice and how many carbon emissions that produces, and simple things like sending an email and, I think, don't quote me on this, but I think sending an email was comparable to making 4,000 or 400,000 Bitcoin Lightning transactions, like in terms of output. I'll find the article to link to after this, but
we'll insert it here.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's frustrating.
It's just like they have a lot of assumptions, and they are putting all together the assumption to came to the claim of the title. But if we go into the reasoning of every single step, it doesn't make a lot of sense. So it's only for people just reading the title and seeing that the journalists make up for some data and something, and then they end up thinking about that. But if you go from sentence to sentence, yeah, there are plenty of things there doesn't make sense by themselves. I mean, also about the impact of Bitcoin mining and also the idea of climate change. And I don't want to go in full depth because I can speak for hours probably, but the problem is just the structure of these articles is just always or almost always like that. And it takes a lot of time to debunk those, more time than actually write an article just like that. And they know.
Yeah, it's going very far out there to draw a connection. Yeah. Like you can see it in other parts of the article too. Like she says, as more women enter the crypto space, the need for... Oh, sorry, that was the wrong... She's saying, it just so happens that some of the regions hit hardest by natural disasters, drought, and displacement are experiencing significant growth in women working in crypto. So again, I tried to understand that claim, and I looked at her reasoning or her examples. So what she then does is an anecdote of a woman in Iran who encourages more women to dive into cryptocurrency. Then she says in Lebanon, there are people increasingly turning to crypto as a means of gaining financial freedom through crypto remittances. Probably all Bitcoin, but whatever. Which, where I wonder, okay, so there's one anecdotal woman that she talks about. Then she talks about people in Lebanon. Is that women? Or is that, again, 98% men? Like, which of it is it? Like, she makes some kind of weird claims here. Then she mentions Europe, where she says 1/5 of crypto holders are women. Where, okay, so in Europe, I don't think women are disproportionately affected by climate change as much as in some other parts of the world.
And also, where do you get the data from exchanges? How do you know those are holders? If they are hodlers, you are not supposed to know they are holders unless they pass through an exchange and then they stop at moving their bitcoins, and you get the gender from the exchange. So those are hodlers, but it's more complicated than that, because those are not KYC free bitcoins, for example, so not the same things. And also it's not, it has been years since I heard so many ideas from the crypto space on how to use cryptocurrencies and businesses to save the world, but actually it's not that complicated in the end. So it seems just like another story of something that is actually quite easy. Just use Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is great in that, and it can give you as women too one of the best thing on earth, which is independence, financial independence. So you only have to learn about the technology and to buy Bitcoin in the right way, and you are already set up and free. So it's not that complicated, actually.
Yeah. Well, I think honestly, I feel like the article has good intentions. And she's saying, if you're an investor looking at ways to support clean energy and women, consider funding clean energy Bitcoin mining. So, I'm all for support environmentally friendly Bitcoin mining, whatever that means to you, right? If you want to plug your miner into a hydropower plant, good for you, more power to you. So the article, I think, has good intentions, but unfortunately it's just drowned out by this virtue signaling of women suffer because men mine dirty Bitcoin. It's just really sad.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's too much going on in this article to make sense. Is the problem with women, or is the problem with Bitcoin mining, And like what you're saying about the mining, I'm not sure if there's any way to actually, I could be wrong, if there's any way to actually prove that you've mined Bitcoins using renewable energy at the moment, unless you, put the message in the transaction in the block. Like, how can you prove that?
You would have to physically go to the company and audit them and check, are they connected to a hydropower plant, or do they have a coal power plant in their basement? So that there is no way. So people, both no coiners and Bitcoiners, like to take numbers from reports and surveys and use them as the only source of truth, and I do not think that's correct. I think we have to be very careful with throwing around these numbers, be it number of Bitcoin users, demographics, Bitcoin mining emissions, or whatnot. But the thing is, that stuff takes a lot of research, and you have to look into things, and most people don't have the time nor the motivation to do that. So it's very easy to look at a number and say,
I was expecting an article more about male Bitcoiners are using are emitting more CO2 than women or something like that would make more sense than what actually inside.
How so?
I don't know. I'm thinking something I cannot say, but actually, if you think in perspective, it could be. Yeah, it's a better thesis, an argument, the one inside the article. I'm not so gracious as you, Lina, because probably it's because it's too much time I am wasting reading articles. But right now I am at this point, and yeah, my argument is seriously better than the one in the article. No, well, I completely agree. And also, if you take a minority and then decide that this minority is, I mean, you can come out with anything if you want to, because, of course, if you take a minority and majority, one is going to be disadvantaged in comparison to the other. It's just like how life work. We have to take in serious consideration when there is something more consistent and more important, and I don't think that's the case. But if this is the case, I'm totally open to reconsider it in the future, but at this point it's not.
Cool. Well, I think that's all we've got on that article. Is there anything else to add?
Done.
No
No
more
more comment.
Right, that's good. Shall we wrap it up there then?
Yep.
Sure.
Okay.
We never talked about how we wrap stuff up around here.
No, that's true, isn't it? I think we are, what do you call it?
Bye.
Bye, everyone. I don't know, actually, we didn't, did we, on the last one?
Well, okay, first of all, please like and subscribe.
Have you got it the right way around?
Like here. Like, subscribe. Visit our channel. Check out our social media links. Go to our Twitter. Follow.
I can see the concentration in your face. That's all right. That's up for the editors to do, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, editor has a lot of work now.
I can tell in Italian with some gesture. Iscrivetevi tutti subito adesso. You have to subscribe right now.
I love that.
I can do it in German.
Yes, please.
Folgt sofort unserem Kanal.
Oh my god, I'm convinced.
Oh my gosh, that's brilliant. I'll just do it in the very, what do you call it? The very modest British, being like, please like and subscribe.
Oh,
we're not angry.
No, we should have all our bases covered. Any type of audience that could have possibly followed us will follow us now.
No, that's good. So that's it. We're done.
That was great.
Yeah, we enjoyed
Great. Talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye, guys.
Bye.